Welcome back to another episode of Next Level Fishing. Today we're going to talk about a little tip that we don't ever really hear anyone talking about, and I'm not quite sure why that is. Specifically, what I'm going to discuss is a soft split ring. The soft split ring is just some braid, heavier gauge braid, that will be hand tied to replace a stock metal split ring. And the key behind this is that it makes your bait, it takes the leverage away that the fish has during a battle once you've got them hooked. And in my opinion, you will lose significantly less fish with these hand-tied split rings. And this is a technique that was taught to me by Joey Uribe Sr. He's the father of Joey Uribe, who's on the Bridgeford fishing team. And I got to fish with him, I'm going to say back in like 2015 at Lake Mead for the US Open. We practiced together, and he showed me this technique. And originally I was a little skeptical, but since using it now for the past 5 years roughly, I have found that it is every bit as good and better than a stock split ring. And it just takes a few seconds to tie. In fact, I think sometimes you tie them faster than you can get a split ring on and off your bait. And, a little bit of practice and you'll have it down. It's not like you're trying to tie the FG knot or anything crazy like that. So, what do you need? You need some heavier gauge braid. I recommend anything that's like 50 pound or higher. I think 80 pound is, you don't need to go any higher than 80 pound. In this case, this is 20 pound Berkley X9. It's high vis though, so I'm going to use it just so you can see. But in general, I would not use 20 pound tests. I would use like 60, 65, 80, somewhere in there. So you'll need your braid, you'll need your bait. This is a LaGrady Donut swim bait. And then you'll need some hooks. These are some Berkley Fusion 19 1/0 size treble hooks, which will pair up nicely with the swim bait. And then the key to all this is having some sort of object that's cylinder shaped. And, roughly what you're trying to do is find that cylinder that's going to be the same size as the split ring that you would use on that bait. In most cases, you're talking about 1/8 of an inch. So, this is an old screwdriver that I carry with me in the boat, and it works just fine for this. So, how do you go about tying the soft split ring? Well, what I would do is take, 18 inches, the 2 feet of line off your braided line, like this, and then you'll fold it over so you have 2 equal parts. And then, so you'll take the end that's been folded over, thread on your treble hook through the eye, and then what you'll do is that fell off. Take your treble hook, thread it onto your line, then you take your bait and you thread that same tag line through whichever hook hanger on the bait that you want to use. So then you've got two ends, right? So the side that's got the loop on it, you'll take the loop and open it up some, and then what you'll do is you'll just pull the loop through itself. So, to do that again, basically you just fold the loop over and then grab the 2 tag lines so you have a loop, right? Just like that. Then, those hooks are sharp. You take your 2 tag lines, take your 2 tag ends on the other side, feed it through the loop you just made. And then you'll pull that all tight. It's a little bit harder to do, it's a bigger bait. So you pull that tight. So you've basically got a knot there that's holding the hook onto your hook hanger. So then what you want to do is pull that apart just a little bit. So you can see I've pulled it apart and I've got a loop. That's where I will take my screwdriver that's roughly 1/8 of an inch long. I will put it through the loop that we just made. Just like that. Now I'm going to pull the line tight. So now the screwdriver is stuck in there, and that's the screwdriver is giving you that same amount of space that a split ring will do. So once you've got your lines pulled tight, you'll take your 2 tag ends like so. It's kind of twisted. We're untwisting, and do 2 overhand knots. So you're basically just doing a square knot. Overhand. There's one. Pull it tight. Do another one. Pull it tight. And then at that point, you've just locked in your soft split ring. So what I do at this point is I'll cut my tag ends off, and there won't be any slippage. So you can cut them off, you know, close to your knot. So I'll grab my scissors. I'm going to cut both those tags off. Get rid of my tags. And then I'm just going to take my screwdriver, slide it out of there, and you've got your soft split ring. I mean, that's locked in. You can see it just like that. And, you know, it's the same size as the split ring that I normally would have used. And it just really locks that hook in place. So here's the key. With a normal split ring, when a fish grabs that bait, if you've got pressure on the bait from your line, so you're holding the bait, say like this, fish is hooked. If they roll, they'll get to a point where that split ring doesn't have any more give, and then they create tension on it. And if they keep rolling, that's where you lose a lot of fish, because they use the pressure that you're applying with the line and your rod and the bait to actually pop the hook free. You know, it's almost that same point where you grab a hook with some pliers and you start rotating. You know, eventually you hit the point where, okay, now you've got pressure. Well, in this case, with a soft split ring, that fish can grab it and just keep rolling and rolling and rolling. I mean, he's got to twist about 4 times before you absorb the extra line for your knot. And that's not going to happen. I mean, the fish just isn't going to be able to get that sort of pressure. And, you know, I find that your hookup percentages are every bit as good with that. But you just don't lose the number of fish that you'll lose with a split ring. And, you know, it takes a few seconds to tie. I found that, you know, for the most part, you can use these split rings for some substantial amount of time. I do think, you know, if you're going into a big event, a big tournament, or something where, you know, you just want to make sure you're not going to be losing fish, I would change your soft split ring, you know, on a relatively regular basis. But I can tell you, I've got baits that have the original 65-pound braid on it for 2 or 3 years at this point, and I'm still catching lots of fish on them. You know, I think a lot of it comes down to the bait too. In this case, you know, this LaGrady donut has, you know, a really nice clear coat on the hook hanger. It's really smooth. There's no abrasive points on that, so you're not going to have really any rubbing that takes place on your soft split ring. Some baits have, you know, some paint that ends right at the hook, and it's just something where you want to keep an eye on your braid. And again, you're using 65-pound test braid, and you really shouldn't be wearing through it with any regularity, but it's the only thing that I think you need to keep an eye on when you're using a soft split ring. So You know, I found that you can use a soft split ring in pretty much any presentation where you would be throwing a hard bait. You know, it works great on top waters, works great on crankbaits, works great on jerk baits. You know, it really fits the need. And it's something you can also do in a pinch. I mean, there's been a lot of times on the water where I'm going to change hooks and I end up losing a split ring and I can't find another split ring that's the same size of my boat. In this case, pull out some braid and tie yourself a soft split ring, and I think you'll really find that it works great. It's easy to do, and just in general improves your fishing. So give it a try. I'm telling you, this is a good one. Go out and do it. And if you liked it, leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. Subscribe to my channel and stay tuned. We'll have some more tips coming forward for you.